Okay, so next topic we are going to go on to is adaptations. Adaptation is quite related to the topic of webs of life. Okay, right. Okay, so under the topic of adaptation, okay, you must know the difference between structural and behavioral adaptation. Okay, this is very important. It's in the syllabus. You need to know the difference between structural and behavioral adaptation. You must recognize that adaptation serves to enhance survival. Number one, to cope with physical factors. So what we mean by physical factors? Like temperature of the surrounding, okay, the wind condition, the water condition, okay, the various physical factors. And animals also adapt to obtain food, to get food, because without food, they will not be able to survive. And also animals adapt to escape from predators, okay, and they also reproduce for reproduction, okay, by finding and attracting mates or for dispersing seeds. These are for plants. Okay, so living things interact with one another as well as with the non-living things in the environment where they live. Okay, one another, they interact in a particular community. There are many organisms. So each of these organisms, they do not live on their own. They live with one another. All right. So how they interact with one another? Okay, sometimes they need to adapt. Okay, and they also need to adapt to the environment that they are in. Okay, for example, this penguin you see here, they live in very cold condition. So they must have certain adaptation which enables them to live in such harsh coldness. Likewise, animals who live in the ocean or in the sea, they must have certain adaptation which enables them to live, to survive, and to swim in the sea. Right? So, in order to live well in the environment, organisms have special characteristics or features that allow them to meet their needs for survival. And these features are known as adaptations. Okay, and like I mentioned just now, adaptations, there are two types of adaptations, structural as well as behavioral. Right? So adaptation enables organism, number one, to get air, food, and water, to cope with physical conditions such as temperature and light, to protect themselves from the enemies or from its predator, and for reproduction. Okay, two types of adaptation, structural and behavioral adaptation. So what are structural adaptation? Okay, they are physical, also known as physical adaptations. They are physical features that an organism has to enable it to survive and to grow in a particular habitat. Okay, this includes the body shape, the body color, patterns on the body, okay, as well as its covering. So can you see this? What do you think this is? Is this an animal or a plant? Animal, how do you know, Mikael? What animal is this? Anyone knows what animal is this? This is a leaf insect. Have you all seen a live leaf insect before? No, okay. I've not seen live also, but I've seen at the zoo. Okay, at the zoo they have a leaf insect and they have stick insect also. Stick insect looks like a stick. Okay, I had a student before. He brought a stick insect. He bought a stick insect in a shop and he brought it to tuition class. All right. So you can see here this animal. Okay, this leaf insect. It has the body structure of a leaf. Okay, why? To enable it to camouflage or blend in with the environment, so that probably to escape from its predator. Okay. Oh, Mikael, you have this leaf insect in your school? Very interesting, huh? Okay. So you can see here, it looks exactly like a leaf, huh? All right. What about behavioral adaptation? So just now we have discussed about structural adaptation, which is related to the physical structure or the body of the animals itself. Now, behavioral adaptation, okay, it is the special ways that an organism acts or behaves. Okay, special ways in which an organism acts or behaves to enable it to survive and grow in a particular habitat. Okay, so this includes staying close together, right? Like penguins, right? They stay very close together, okay, to protect them from the cold. okay, or to store the body heat better, being active only at certain times of the day. Right, you can see here this is probably this looks like a bear. Okay, and we know that bear hibernates, right? In the year, okay, bear can hibernate for months. During winter, they will hibernate during winter. Why? Because during winter, there's very little food and very little water. Okay, so to escape from the harsh condition, they will hibernate. So hibernate means they will sleep. They fall into sleep, deep sleep for a very long period of time. Okay, for months. All right. So that so when during hibernation, what happens is that the bear, the heartbeat will slow down. Okay, probably let's say normal heartbeat for bear, say more than 100 beats per minute. During hibernation, it can go down to less than 10 beats per minute. Okay, so when the heart beats slowly, okay, the blood circulation also slows down, so it reduces the need for this bear for food and water. Okay, so that's how they survive in very harsh wintry condition. Right, they hibernate for a long period of time. Now, after winter, when summer comes, they will wake up and they will go out and they will look for food. All right, so the cycle goes on that way. Yeah. Oh, so Mikael, you wish you can hibernate, huh? No, humans, we can't hibernate, huh? We can only sleep at night just for a short period of time, huh? Okay, so some animals have adaptation to help them cope with extreme temperatures. Like camels, right? Camels, they can survive in the desert very well. Okay, so desert can be very, very hot during the day and cold at night. Some animals hide under the rocks or stay in the shade, and they come out only at night to hunt. And other animals, such as desert foxes, have big ears to lose more body heat. All right, so we know that under very hot condition, they need to have certain adaptation to enable them to lose heat very quickly. So this desert fox, they have very long, big ears. Okay, so when it has bigger ears, it has greater exposed surface area, so which enables them to lose the body heat very quickly. Okay. A camel have long eyelashes to help them keep out from the sand. And we know in the desert, right? When the wind blows, it's very sandy. There's desert storm. Okay, so it has very long eyelashes to protect them from the sand. The camel also urinate and sweat very little to conserve more water in their body. Okay, so in the desert, it's very difficult to find water, and it rains maybe once or twice a year. Okay, so so the animals and the plants that lives in the desert, they must have adaptation to enable them to to live in very hot condition and to enable them to store water or to consume very, very little water. Right? You can see here, this is a cactus. Since water is very scarce in the desert, cactus living there have the following adaptation to help them obtain and conserve water. Number one, they have thin and needle-like leaves. So cactus, this part here are the leaves, not the green part here. The green part here is the stem. All right. So the thorny parts here, these are the leaves. Okay, why they have very needle-like leaves? Anyone knows? You know why they have needle-like leaves? Okay, the answer is here already, to reduce the water loss. So when it has tiny or needle-like leaves, the exposed surface area of the leaves is greatly reduced, and we know that plants loses water through the leaves, through its stomata, okay, in the process of transpiration. Okay, we know the function of stomata. Number one is to exchange of gases. Number two, for it to lose water. So when it has smaller leaves, or leaves with very, very small exposed surface area, so it helps the plants to lose very little water. Right? And this cactus also have very thick and fleshy stem to store water, and the roots that spread out widely to absorb as much water as possible. Right? It has very wide roots that goes very deep into the ground so that it can absorb as much water as possible. Okay. Now, what about cold condition? You can see here this penguin, right, live in the very cold condition. such as North Pole, the Arctic, or the South Pole and Antarctica. Okay, even under such very cold condition, you have certain animals that live there. Not many, but you have few animals, and they have very good adaptation, which enable them to live in such very cold environment. Okay, so penguin have closely packed feathers that traps air. Okay, it has very closely packed feathers that traps air. And we know what is the property of air. Air is a very poor conductor of heat, right? It's very poor conductor of heat. So when it has very thick feathers, okay, that traps air, so the air will be all around covering the body of the penguin. So it prevents the loss of the body heat of the penguin. Okay, so the penguin will lose heat, his body heat very, very slowly. Okay, and this helps to keep the bodies of the penguin warm during winter. And you notice penguin, it has the behind part of the penguin is black and the front part is white. And do you know that penguin tend to face the back, its back towards the sun? You all know why? Anyone knows why the penguin, okay, they tend to face its back towards the sun? Anyone knows? Absorb more heat. Very good. Because the sun, we know that the sun gives off heat, right? And black color, it is a better absorber of heat compared to white. That's why when in the afternoon, or when we got to play, or when we go out of the house, you don't wear black colored t-shirts or clothing when the weather is very hot, right? Because it will make you very, very hot. You tend to wear light clothing or white clothing, right? So likewise for animals, okay, the black color part here, it helps them to trap heat. Okay, so that's why the back of the penguin tend to be facing the sun, right? So that it can trap as much heat as possible, okay, to make its body hot, right? To keep the body warm during cold conditions. Okay, another animal that lives very well in the cold environment is the polar bear. Okay, number one, polar bear have very thick fur. This thick fur traps air. Okay, traps air just like the penguin. This very thick fur traps air, and air is a poor conductor of heat, so it reduces the loss of body heat by this polar bear. And another thing is that they have a layer of fat under their skin, which is called the blubber. All right, so this layer of fat also helps to trap heat to keep them warm during cold condition. And polar bear also has very small ears. Okay, the ears are small and their tails are also very small. All right, why they have very small exposed surface area, and their ears and the tail is to reduce the loss of the body heat. Right. Okay, some animals move to another place to avoid the wintry condition. Okay, this is an example of, can you tell me, this bird migration, is it structural or behavioral adaptation? Anyone? Okay, very good. Behavioral adaptation. Right. So birds, they migrate. Now, migrate is not moving from just the short distances. Let's say from Jurong to Pasir Ris, for example. Okay, that is not migration. When bird migration, it means that it travels thousands of kilometers. Okay, say in America, for example, or in Europe. Let's say winter is approaching. What happens is that these birds, they will migrate to either to the central part of the earth near the equator, right? Or they will they will fly a very long distance to the southern part of the earth, or the southern hemisphere. Okay, probably to Singapore, Australia, okay, to escape the winter in the northern part in Europe. Okay, so the bird migrate, they fly for a very long period of time, and once winter finishes, they will fly back to their original place. Okay, So other animals hide and rest in their habitat during winter to avoid the cold and to conserve energy in their bodies. Like what I mentioned just now, the bear hibernate, right? This is another example of behavioral adaptation. Right? They hide and rest in their habitats for a very long period of time, for months, right? To avoid the cold and to reduce the consumption of energy. Okay. Okay, cold environment, when water freezes and scarce during winter, the needle-like leaves of pine tree helps to reduce the water loss through their leaves. You can see here, pine tree, they have needle-like leaves, and this helps to reduce the loss of water. And some plants shed their leaves to avoid water loss. Okay, if those of you who have been to cold countries where it experience a winter, or if you see the movies, right, in winter you tend to see the trees are very dull, very dark. Why? Because the leaves has been shed. Okay, the leaves drop off. Okay, and during winter, what is left is usually just the branches with very little leaves. Okay, the reason why it shed the leaves is to avoid the loss of water. Okay, during winter. Right. Now, animals has adaptation for breathing underwater. Okay, we know fish has gills, and this mosquito, they have air tube. Air tubes, their body has air tubes which helps them to breathe underwater. So mosquito larvae, water stick insects, and water scorpions have air tubes that extend from their bodies, and their air tubes stick out above the water surface to take in oxygen from the surrounding air. This animal, this frog, okay, it has moist skin. Likewise, tubifax worm, flatworms, and amphibians such as the frog and toads use their moist skin to take in oxygen that is dissolved in the water. Okay, and we know that water has lots of dissolved oxygen. Okay, so when they have this moist skin, it helps the animal take in the water that is dissolved, take in oxygen that is dissolved in the water. And some animals have special nostrils, okay, such as the seals and dugongs, okay, which has nostrils at the top of their snouts. So you can see here the nostrils. So they push the nostrils above the water to breathe and to close them to keep the water out when they are underwater. Okay, so this is the seal. And some animals have blowholes, such as whales and dolphins, at the top of their head. Okay, this blowhole, it is kept above the water surface so that they can breathe when most of their bodies are. And most animals, most fishes, like the shark here, they have streamlined body. All right, why they have streamlined body? So that they are able to swim very quickly in water. Why they need to swim very quickly in water? Number one, so that they can escape from their predators. Or number two, they can, they can quickly find food, or they can find or can eat their the prey very quickly. Okay, they can find the prey very quickly. Okay, and this shape helps aquatic animals to move quickly through water. And some animals, aquatic animals, have special body parts such as web feet, fins, and flippers. So you can see here the penguin, it has flippers here, and it has webbed feet, right? And this allows this penguin to live or to move very quickly in water. All right, for birds, they have adaptation for flying, right? So what are the adaptations for birds? Okay, they have well-developed wings with very strong flight muscles. Okay, the wings have very strong. Wings has strong muscles to help the eagle to fly for a very long distance, and they have feathers to keep themselves warm. Right, in air when they are flying, right, the temperature of the air tends to be very cold, so the feathers help them keep them warm, and they have streamlined bodies that help them move easily through the air, and they also have hollow bones, which makes them very light, to enable them to fly more easily. Okay, so birds have hollow bones, which makes them lighter, enables them to fly easily. Now you can see this owl, very scary looking, right? Some animals live in a dark environment or hunt at night, right? Like this owl, they are called nocturnal animals. Nocturnal animals, they in the day they sleep, okay, and at night they are awake, they hunt at night. And what adaptation they have? They have good night vision. Their eyes very sharp, very sensitive eyes, so to enable them to see in the dark, so as to either to catch its prey by surprise. Okay, and some animals have body parts, okay, that can light up, right? Like the firefly, it has body parts that can light up. Right. What about plants? Plants have certain adaptation to enable it to obtain light, right? Because we know we know that plants need light for photosynthesis. Without light, plants will die. They cannot make food. They need sunlight a lot. They need sunlight so that it enables them to trap the light so that it can make food. So some plants have very strong woody stems that hold their branches and leaves upright so that they can reach out to towards the sun and to maximize the exposure of the leaves to the sun. Right? And some plants, they have weak stems, but they are able to climb. Okay, we call them climbers. They climb onto support such as wall, fences, and other plants to get sunlight. Okay, they are known as climbers. Okay, right? And some land plants, they creep on the ground and grow horizontally. You can see this grass here. Okay, they creep and they grow horizontally. And they spread out their stems so that their leaves are exposed to as much sunlight as possible. Okay, they are known as creepers. Right? Okay. I think some of you have seen past year PSLE question. There was one question where they have a tree and leaves are going around the tree trunk, right? And the leaves are spread out. And the question asks, the question goes like this: how does the leaves? Okay, what kind of adaptation does the leaf has? Why does the leaf going around, covering itself around the trunk of the tree? All right. So this has to do with to increase the exposed surface area of the leaves to the sun, so that it can maximize, it can get maximum amount of sunlight, so that they can make food. Okay. Plants are plants that lives or that grows in the water. Okay, so like this water lily, it stays above the water surface to obtain sunlight. It also has waxy leaves that prevent water from collecting into them and weighing them down. It has air spaces in the leaf stalk. Air spaces helps them float on water, and it also has hair on leaf that traps air. Okay, so this is adaptation for aquatic or water plants. Okay, a tiger here has adaptation to catch its prey. Okay, so some predators need to hunt for food. Okay, predators generally need to hunt for food to stay alive. They have some adaptations to allow them to catch their prey more easily. Tigers and lions have very strong jaws and claws to hold and to grip their prey very tightly. Right? They also have very sharp teeth to bite their prey and to tear the flesh. All right, some animals have very strong sense of sight or sense of smell or sense of hearing. Okay, like this bat here, we know that it hunts for the prey at night, so it has very strong sense of hearing. And we know that bats are blind, so it uses its sense of hearing instead to catch its prey. Some predators such as frog has very long sticky tongue to catch its prey. Now some animals run very fast, like cheetah here, or it flies. Some animals fly very quickly to catch a prey, and some predators hunt in groups to catch a bigger prey. Right? You can see the cheetah here, very, very strong muscles. Okay, and it is one of the fastest animal in the world. So, so it can catch its prey very, very easily. And some animals, they can use camouflage to blend with the environment, okay, either to sneak up on its prey or to escape from its predator. And some animals can change the color of their fur or change the color of their skin, so that to enable them to adapt to the environment. Okay. Some predators use traps or webs to catch their prey, like spider, right? Okay, so spider, it uses its web to track their prey. Other animals like snakes use venom, okay, to kill their prey. Some animals, some plants like pitcher plant and sundew plant use sweet juices to attract and trap insects for food. Okay. So animals have adaptation to protect them and help them escape from predators. Okay, like this animal here, it has very sharp or hard body coverings such as spines, scales, and shell to protect your body. So like snails, snails are it has very hard shell to protect its soft body from predators. Other animals hide in their shell or curl into a ball when they face danger. Now, some animals have very bright colors on their body to warn the predators that they are poisonous. Okay, so this prevents the predator from eating them. You can see this frog here has very colorful yellow color skin, right, to protect them from its predator. Some animals like the pufferfish, okay, it can make themselves appear bigger, okay, when they are near to its predator. Okay, so this helps to scare off the predator. Okay, some animals are able to camouflage themselves with the body colors or pattern to blend in with their surroundings, and this prevents them from being seen by the predator. Like the stonefish here, you can see here, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like an animal, okay, but it's a stonefish. Okay, it can camouflage, okay, with the floor of the sea, of the ocean. Okay, some animals have colorful body coverings to make them appear more attractive to their mates. Right? So remember, animals adapt not only to find food or to escape from predator, but they also have certain adaptation for reproduction. And we know that reproduction is important for all animals because if no reproduction takes place, the animals will become extinct, right? Okay, so animals reproduce to ensure survival of its own kind. Right? So peacock here, it has very colorful body coverings, or many animals have very colorful body coverings to make them more attractive to their mates. Okay, there are several ways that they attract their mates. Some of them they fight. They fight. So see who is the strongest in the community. Okay, and some of them have mating calls. Okay, they give out certain sounds, right, to attract the mates. Okay, some of them display certain body parts to potential mates, and some have bodies that light up. These are all mating behaviors. Right? Very interesting. Huh? Now about plants, please remember that in talking about adaptation, it doesn't involve only animals. Plant also has many parts of their body which enables parts of the plants which enables them to adapt to the environment. Okay, example here, flowering method and seeds to be dispersed to increase the chances of reproduction. Right, you can see here very colorful petals, right, to attract insects so that the insects can help them pollinate their pollen grains. Okay, you can see here pollination in plants. Animal pollinated flowers have large, brightly colored petals, sticky pollen grains, fragrant scent, sweet nectar. Okay, these are all adaptations, adaptation by the plants to help them in reproduction. Likewise, plants which are pollinated by wind, they have small, dull colors or no petals, very light pollen grains, no smell or no nectar. So this enables them to be pollinated very easily, enable them to reproduce. Okay, so let's recap. All right, there are two types of adaptation. Number one, structural adaptation. Number two, behavioral adaptation. And organisms have adaptations for number one, coping with extreme temperatures, either coping with very high temperature, hot condition, or very, very cold conditions, to enable them to breathe in water. Some animals like fishes, they have gills to enable them to breathe in water, to move in water and the air, like the birds, and that enables them to move in the air. And streamlined body of the fishes enables them to move quickly in water, and living in dark environment animals like owls, they're very, very sensitive eyes, which enable them to see in the dark, to obtain sunlight, right? To obtain plants have plants, they have certain ways to to grow so that to enable the plants and the leaves to maximize the exposure to the sun. Some animals, it has adaptation to catch its prey, right? Like very powerful arms and limbs so that they can catch its prey very quickly. Some animals protect against the predator. Adaptation example, camouflage is able to camouflage with the surrounding, blend in with the surrounding, okay, to protect from this predator. And some animals, they have adaptations, body structure or behavior adaptations for reproduction. Right, like the peacock, we had the example just of a peacock. It has very colorful feathers, okay, so that to attract the mates. Okay, so this is the points, the main points to recap on the topic of adaptations. All right. Okay, so we have come to the end of the